That's right. One of the core tenets of how I like to build businesses and build teams is that you can't really do it alone, right? If you're going to go after and try to be category defining, be a one of one, you've got to have great partners, right? You got to have complementary technology and complementary vision, right, to go out and address those big opportunities. And I really view C360 as one of those fantastic partners, which is why we wanted to invest in you guys from the very beginning.
Welcome to Icons and Insights powered by C360, where the business of sports, technology, and broadcasting converge to create the immersive media economy. Now let's get into it with your hosts, Howard Wright and Cher Jones.
Howard, I am definitely excited for our conversation today. We're talking from athlete turned tech entrepreneur who is literally changing the way that we are going to experience sports in an AR, VR world together. And that's the difference. So tell me a little bit more about our icon today.
Our icon today, Cher, is Jeb Terry. Jeb is president and CEO of COSM, and he's going to tell you all about COSM and their audacious plans for immersive media creation and distribution in the United States. I had not met Jeb until several months ago, but found a kindred spirit in terms of we both had a short professional career and lived out our fantasies and our dreams doing that. But I think when the story is written about Jeb, they'll talk about his business acumen and his financial acumen a lot more than they'll talk about even playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, it's always great to have somebody talking about you. So, Jeb, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate the time and look forward to a fun conversation. I will say, for a podcast about the immersive economy and the experience industry and all those things, I picked quite a bland background. So apologies. I'm on site somewhere else and couldn't stage the background, but trust me, we're in the space.
I make it very difficult to have a better background. I'm just saying. So I'll own that. Okay. So one of the questions that we have off the bat, you are the president and the CEO of COSM, and we're going to dive into what you're doing now. But before we do that, I want you to let us know a little bit about your origin story and how you got there in 5 plays or less. Go.
5 plays or less. Okay.
You got it.
Here we go. So first and foremost, I'm a Tar Heel all the way through and through. Undergrad and MBA. Okay. So between my stints at North Carolina, I played in the NFL. I was very fortunate to play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Went through the draft experience and played there for 4 years, essentially, and then went on to the 49ers for about half a Gatorade, so to speak. But it was a step in my journey because I got to see how another team operated, how another team of players reacted, how the locker room was. And although it was a brief stint, made some great relationships, met some great people, and really was able to play in the shadows of real icons, right? Sharing facilities with the likes of Joe Montana, Ronnie Lott, Harris Barton, just true heroes of the game and the industry as a whole, honestly, because all those guys have gone on to do amazing things, right, in Silicon Valley and beyond. So that's a whole nother podcast. But after the NFL decided I wasn't fast enough or strong enough or good enough to play anymore, I went back and did a full-time MBA and started a company called Gridiron Grunts, which is a mobile video platform that we rebranded to Straightcast Media to be more open across multiple genres. Mobile video platform that was a fantastic learning business for me. Was able to partner with a former teammate named Ryan Neese, who's a best friend and business partner in all walks of life that we do now as well. And so we learned a lot, trial by fire. Howard knows what I'm talking about. But an education that was priceless in so many ways, right? The entrepreneur's journey and the struggle is real. And we went through it. And then was able to sell that business to Fox Sports. Went to Fox Sports, did cross-platform innovation at Fox for a number of years. And that's where, I was able to kind of stack these experiences on top of each other and start really to put some definition around who I wanted to be in the industry and how I wanted to influence the future state of experience in sports and immersivity and all that. Working events like the Super Bowl, the World Cup, the World Series. I mean, it was amazing being on the business side of those conversations. And then ended up leaving there to go explore other opportunities. Along the way, became managing director of Mirasol Capital, which is a private equity and venture arm, and putting that capital to work in what COSM is now. And so as a president and CEO of COSM, we are redefining the way the world experiences content. We are bridging the gap between the experience economy and the immersive industry, and really positioning ourselves with great partners and opportunities and friends like Howard to go attack this opportunity head on and really change the world. And it's an awesome time to be in the space, and we're having a lot of fun doing it.
You actually nailed it in 5 plays or less. That's awesome. You went right up to the line though, but you did.
I towed the line. That's for sure.
So, Cher, you can see and feel the intensity. You can feel the intellect. You can feel the enthusiasm. You see the passion for this new immersive media economy and experiences that are being created. Jeb, let the folks know a little bit more on the detail of what COSM is and what COSM plans to do over the next couple of years.
So it's interesting. I actually had an in-person all hands at our office here in Pennsylvania, one of our many offices that we have now, and started it with, we have to think big here, right? Yeah. And a lot of people say that, right? And I want to say that we're actually living that, right? The big plans that we have, the altruistic goal of redefining the way the world experiences content, right? That only comes together with a lot of different pieces and parts, right? Yeah. And we're in a great spot where we can go out and really devote resources to a lot of M&A activity, first and foremost, to make sure we can get the right team, the right IP, the right pieces of the puzzle together. But then a lot of R&D activity as well to reallocate resources internally to capitalize on core assets that we have, then to express a future state. And it's that future state expression is what we get so excited about, right? Taking really legacy businesses that have been defining kind of this notion of content and experience, and then bridging that with other areas of expertise to create these bespoke venues where you can go in and celebrate your favorite content, live, low latency, point to point, real time rendered, or even really immersive playback. And it's really putting this full stack value proposition together, what we've been doing. And the goals are to be a brand entity known around the world. That is a category defining one of one. My elevator pitch at COSM, as you can tell, is about 100 stories high right now. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, how much time do you have? Eventually, our hope is that you say, oh, what do you do? It's like, oh, I'm the CEO of COSM. People go, holy beep. Like, that place is crazy. I love it. That's amazing. I can't believe you do that and be category defining. And that's the fun part about it, right? To be one of one, that hopefully we can set a standard and a high bar that people try to emulate, copy to, and say they are the X of COSM, or they are the COSM of X, right? That's the fun opportunity. And we're able to do that with a lot of cool skill sets and expertise from other pieces and parts that makes it really fun.
So when you look at this vision, this bold plan that you have, even 5 years from now, what's one thing you expect to see when it comes to your company? Like expect to see, like not play, like it's going to happen. What do you expect to see in 5 years or less?
Wow.
I know.
We look, our aspirations and our expectations is that COSM will be a globally known thing. But
what does that look like?
It is the world's most, and I don't want to use the word immersive because immersive gets used too often sometimes, in my opinion, where it's really not there. It's meant to be a transformational experience where you can come into one of our COSM venues and be transported anywhere in the world with a better view, a better experience of the content than actually being there live. And you can control that journey, right? It's more convenient. It's more accessible. There's better F&B. It's more in depth, right? And you can enjoy it. And we've democratized access to the biggest events of the world. Whether you're sitting in LA, you can watch Wimbledon live. If you're sitting in London, you can watch the Super Bowl out of Los Angeles. If you're sitting in Mexico, right, you can watch the World Cup playing in Qatar, right? These are the types of things we're trying to give the world access to. And with partnerships and opportunities in place that we're building, we're going to be able to deliver this. And it's proven. The tech has been proven. That technology risk has been mitigated, and now it's about execution, right? And turning over those dominoes and making sure that we can capitalize on what we've created. And that's the biggest thing, is capitalizing on the foundation that we built and the partnerships that we're creating so that we can go out and really deliver the biggest of visions.
Jeb, leaning into that, your investment thesis for reasoning to be an investor in C360. When we first started talking, you just challenged us to deliver some 8K streams. And then over time, something developed a kind of a co-traveler's mentality in terms of the audacity of both of our visions. You couple those two things together, we think that we play a very important role in the COSM future for you.
That's right. One of the core tenets of how I like to build businesses and build teams is that you can't really do it alone, right? If you're going to go after and try to be category defining, be a one of one, you've got to have great partners, right? You got to have complementary technology and complementary vision, right, to go out and address those big opportunities. And I really view C360 as one of those fantastic partners, which is why we wanted to invest in you guys from the very beginning. There are certain things I think we are the world's best at, right? And I think at the end of the day, the experience we can deliver, right, as a COSM is category defining one-on-one, like we said a lot of times. But I can't get there without great partnerships, right? And great technology, right? And so that's why we look at this C360 opportunity is that what you guys are doing is really pushing the boundaries of a resolution standard, right? Yeah. Of a transmission standard and some of the stuff coming down the pipeline. Wow, right? Like just amazingly exciting. And then, what I also love is really the flexibility of the production footprint and then the utility of the feed. I think that's that common theme is utility, right, of the content and the resulting stream, and how often and how many users can we have that are accessing it, and how are we driving utility of the OpEx or CapEx or whatever X needed to produce those things. You know what I mean? And that's one of those things. It's like what you guys are doing is creating something incredibly powerful, but you're creating a big pie of utility so that a lot of different people can value that, right? And then at the end of the day, what that leads to is a better fan experience. Right. I think that's kind of what the run-on sentence, which I'm really good at run-on sentences, right? What that gets to at the end of the day is a better fan experience, more access to the sports they love, to the IP they love, to the music they love, the entertainment, whatever it is, giving them that better fan experience and a way to celebrate fandom. And we all know fandom. I mean, there's nothing better than fandom, guys. Yeah. Like, I started my entire dialogue with I'm a Tar Heel, right, through and through. Mm-hmm. I went to the University of North Carolina, or maybe I did, but I said I'm a Tar Heel, and that means a lot. And I know that's something that's fun about the space we work in.
So, Jeb, going back to you invited us out. We came out to Salt Lake City. We saw the facility, and when I try to explain to you, this is one of the coolest man-made things I've ever seen in my life. That is an understatement. The screen. The dexterity, the usability, different sports, different verticals. You could be on Saturn, you could be on the moon, you could be in Pauley Pavilion, you could be at Gillette Stadium. There's an emotional connection to that venue that is on par with Jeb. I'm guessing you, like me, have been one of the luckiest guys ever. You've been to every World Series, every finals, every Super Bowl, everything that you've ever wanted to do, and you've stood on either backstage or on the field, on the court at that venue. That is what they're replicating in a really unique experience with COSM. That's why I don't think we can do it justice today. I think when folks walk in, folks are going to be wildly entertained by how the communal aspect of this, how it's almost a spiritual event to go in there and watch a game or event or a concert.
We had Mike Davies on our podcast recently, and one of the things he said is that regardless of all this technology, I'm paraphrasing here because I don't have these exact words, but regardless of all this technology, the one thing that we want to, as fans, is experience sports together. And it sounds like, based off of what Howard said, this is exactly what this is. And then if I put my nerd hat on and being like, this is like the holodeck of 2022 and beyond.
All right, well, you went there first, so now you opened up a big door. So look, at the end of the day, right, we talk about our concept is shared reality, right? So it's leveraging all the amazing immersive tech, AR, XR, VR, MR, whatever are, but the need to share that experience together, right? The need to be able to high five or grab a beer or just cheer, wave a towel, right? And having the scale of audience together that has that energy, right? There's an energy that you get, right? We tell our team members, we don't sell just technology. We sell experience. We sell human emotion. Our job is for the tech to disappear. And when you're standing in front of COSM technology, you get a physical emotion. One of the first meetings after we went and bought a bunch of companies, I got up and said, I want everyone to have chicken skin when they stand in front of this. And of course, everyone kills me on that. Like, chicken skin, don't mean goosebumps? Yeah, same difference, right? But we want you to have that, the hair to stand up. Like my hair's standing up now. I get so geeked up about this stuff. And that's the big opportunity, right? Is that shared emotion. And then, you talked about the holodeck. We might as well mention the metaverse, right? It's in the zeitgeist now, right? Yeah. You need an onboarding stage to that. You need a way to drive lead gen for the hardware. You need all these opportunities. And we really have, in our opinion, the world's best method to view immersive content, right? It is transformative in nature. It evokes human emotion, and it can get a scale and a shared audience so that you're there physically in these places. And some of the work that our teams are doing across the physical engineering to the software to the Unreal developers, everyone around the organization contributing to this, right? We can bring all these disciplines in, and we are really in a unique spot. And I don't talk about that too publicly yet, right? Just because a lot of that stuff is moving right away. The industry is forming. But look, when we partner with guys like C360 and Howard and Evan and Brian and the resolution and fidelity and what they're able to do brings out the best of what we do, which is why I love the relationship so much. Look, Howard, as you know, we have access and attested the best of breed. Like we're doing some of the biggest events in the world, and you guys, bar none, deliver the absolute best of breed and make the vision and makes the visuals that much better. And so, it's these reasons why, that our relationship, our investment makes so much sense.
I love it. And I'm excited because I was listening to another podcast you were on, and you were just talking about how, not just, but you were talking about how people will never be able to experience certain venues in their lives. For example, the Olympics, and being able to sit there. Most people will never experience or have an Olympic experience as a fan for exactly what they want to see. And that is what you're creating. And like you said, you are democratizing access to these primetime seats, these primetime venues, and these primetime experiences in a way that is not... It's not a sub experience. It's a different experience, and it's equally exciting. And like everybody's going to sports church.
100%. It's like, we're not cannibalistic to the existing model, and that's key. We really believe that we're augmentative to it, and we offer fans additional access and experience so that they can celebrate what they love the most. We can never forget what they love. Right. They love the brands. They love the teams. They love the logos. They get tattoos of them. Right. They get the player signatures. If you lose sight of that, then you're not going to find your way in our industry. Right. So how do we develop technology and ways for them to get to another level of that? Right. To get easier access to it, to find more ways to express that fandom. And that's really what we're about. And that, by the way, the thing I love about it, fandom applies to sports, but it also applies to music. It also applies to cinema. It also applies to video games. It also applies to science. It applies to all these core verticals, right? And so if you can start to open up the aperture a little bit and find those fans and pockets, then you can really start to find great ways and the through lines of all those content verticals so that you can create really an amazing offering for a lot of different people.
So Jeb, here's my perfect weekend in one of the COSM experiences. Friday night, it's a Beyonce concert. And it's ambisonic sound, plus with all the high fidelity 8K that is generating there. Wake up early in the morning, Saturday morning, come back to the facility, and you're going to show me some La Liga content from Spain, and then some college football. And then Saturday night is going to be a Wilder fight, or it's going to be a Canelo fight, and I'm going to be able to physically be, proximate to where I live, and yet be able to transport myself to all these different international locations. Sunday morning, I come back. It's an EPL from Liverpool or for the Etihad with Man City. And then it's a whole bunch of NFL games. And then Sunday night is the Sunday night game by NBC. How close to that reality or that daydream are we?
We're close, Howard. Very, 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 very close. Like, look, that's our programming slate, right? That's what we look at. Look, our core anchor is experiential sports, right, of our programming. And that's the beauty of it. And there is a lot of sports, and there's a lot of fans out there, especially where we look at this. And so you've really mapped out how we look at offering the different experiences. And it's the live window, which is so fantastic.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Is that it's always fresh, and you can come back and it's about your favorite sport or your favorite concert. The only thing I'll add is when you're watching the La Liga game, we might have tapas for you. When you're watching, I'll give you fish and chips and some Carlsberg beer. And then, we'll really try to match really what that environment is, because the experience is not just sight, right? But it's also sound and the spatial audio and the things we're doing there. But it's also taste, right? It's about the energy. It's all these things. And so our biggest ambition is to really be able to hit all those things so that we can actually give you a fantastic experience time and time again. It's a very hard challenge, right? We have challenges. Don't get me wrong. And we still have a lot to prove, and we still have to solve a lot of things. But the beauty is the core of the offering is solved, which is, and this is almost even like breaking news here, Howard. The core of the offering is solved. And as we begin to tell our COSM story and really start to really socialize that more and more, it's going to become, hopefully a daily concern.
Good. So take me all the way back, Jeb. Let's go back again. We're about the same age. When I was in high school, I was just trying to get some good grades, stay out of trouble, and play basketball as hard as I could. I got to Stanford, and it got just a little bit better every single year, and stumbled into a short and non-illustrious NBA career, of which I'm forever grateful. Going way back, when you're putting your fingers in the mud during two-a-days, and you're going head-to-head with some of these guys, did you have this in mind, or did you have it was only going to be an NFL career, then to the booth, then to the Hall of Fame, then to
it's interesting. You've touched on a conversation that my opinion is not as popular as others on what this is. Like when I was in the league, I was singularly focused on taking advantage of my opportunity there. Okay. Right. I think my advice to young people in the league is, look, you can plan for the future all you want, but take care of the here and now and win the day, right? If you win the day, that's going to set you up for so many great things. Don't get distracted by the noise. Now, today when they talk about how players are diversified and more than an athlete and all that stuff, look, I was ecstatic being an athlete. Like I loved being an athlete. It was an amazing opportunity and privilege to be a professional athlete. And I still look at it to that day. But if I don't take care of being an athlete first, all the other trappings, none of that comes, right? Right. And I get quite conflicted about this because you have an opportunity to do some really great things. And if you don't take care of the primary one first, right, which your day-to-day, you are paid to perform on that field. Yeah. And if you perform well in that field, you can do a lot of great things beyond that, right? So I was really focused on that. I wanted to be great. I worked my tail off to be great. And, it didn't happen for a lot of various reasons I could point to, but then it didn't happen. And so I was fortunate to be able to have opportunities to go explore and be intellectually curious and be inquisitive, right, of other influential people around me and try to listen and learn. And that was able to do that. I always had aspirations, Howard, of being a businessman at the end of the day, right? Growing up, and that was my dad was a businessman, right? He was. He gave me a fantastic upbringing, and I went to a military school, a boarding military school, so structure was always important, and I was fortunate. I got to see what the world was about pretty early and see opportunities. But when I was playing football, I wanted to be the world's best at that, and sometimes it pisses me off that I wasn't. Just being frank here, guys, I wish I was going to the Hall of Fame, but now I have new challenges, and I'm going to go.
You can go to the Tech Hall of Fame.
That's right. That's right.
So, Cher, I have a quick follow up to this one that's off script, which is, Jeb, did you ever have a moment of your athletic mortality? Was there ever you lined up against this guy? If it's John Randall or it's Bruce Smith or it's whatever. I had two things happen relative to Shaq as a teammate and Dominique Wilkins as a teammate, and I immediately thought to myself, I cannot do what they do. I'm glad I graduated from a world-class university. Did you have any of those moments, practice, game, off-season workout?
So I had there's three moments in my career that I look back on quite a bit. All right, the first was, it was in practice. I was running with the ones. I was blocking Derek Brooks, and Mike Allstock cut off my block. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, holy cow, this is the coolest thing ever, right? My second year, it was that year where you found like peak flow. Like, people call it flow, right? Where you're just in it. You're not thinking, you're moving, reacting. That's when I was playing my best football. And I was like, oh, wow, I get it. Like, I can do this. I'm in it. Like, I'm owning this. And then there's the end of my career in San Francisco. And I was like, holy crap, I can't block a snail. You know what I mean? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, what is happening, right? And I knew it was time for me to hang it up. I just was not playing good football, right? It was painfully obvious to me. Justin Smith was on the D line then. I was fortunate. Joe Staley was a second-year offensive tackle, and the guy's an absolute stud. Joe Staley's going to be a Hall of Famer, left tackle, absolute stud out there. That team had Patrick Willis on the defense. It was amazing, and I was just not playing good football. It was clear, right? It's obvious. So when they cut me, I was like, I don't blame you, right? Like, it's time for me to divert my attention elsewhere, but it was all those three instances are the glaring instances in my mind that I'll just never forget, right? As those moments where it's like, do you just get clarity? And it's like, all right, they were very impactful.
It sounds like you learned a lot. Clearly, you learned a lot of lessons being on the field as a professional athlete. How do you then translate those specific lessons of being that pro athlete and becoming this corporate athlete in the same sense that, because there's a lot of similarities. I know Howard talks about that a lot from his experience being a pro and taking that into the boardroom. And how has that impacted you, where you see the difference between your other colleagues in the same at the same level as you that may have not had that probably have not had that sports experience?
So there's two ways I look at it. One, it is when you're a rookie. And the other is when you're a leader in an organization, right? So a rookie athlete comes in and you're humbled day one, right? You are in it, you are competing, you are doing it, you are trying to understand where you fit into a team, how do you become a part of a team, right? Mm-hmm. And I think being able to do that and going from college where you're the man and you're the captain back to a scrub again and learning from the veterans, learning from new coaches, bringing in new offensive playbooks, right? New schemes, new language, and being able to adapt and then perform. Right. That's what I think you have to do in the business world. You have to adapt to a changing environment, understand new ways of operating, right? Work with the team, and then they perform. The skills that we have as athletes to be able to communicate with people from totally different walks of life, to find a common ground and line behind a common goal. Like, it's actually shocking to me when I'm in the real world how hard that can be to get people aligned around a goal. Because in the business world, it's not win and loss on a daily basis, right? Sales cycles, Howard, they're long, man. How long are sales cycles, right? And it's these things that you have to learn to work through, and it's that communication. And then as a leader now in the business world, I pull back on how people coached or led me on a football field, right? The thing that I loved the most was direct feedback, right? Tell me what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, and then tell me how to get better. Right. And if I can bring those principles to the leadership in the business world, we think we can get the best out of our people. Right. Have really open transparency, define what you need them to do in their day to day, and give them the tools to get it done. And that's one of the things I miss the most about being in the NFL. Right. You are surrounded by people who are world class at helping you be world class. Right. Mm-hmm. And so if you can bring that principle to the business world, I think you can find a lot of unique parallels and a lot of skill sets that can help us do it. And, you try not to be too coach speaky in the business world, because you don't want to be like that athlete that it's always like, hit the Notre Dame poster on your way out the door type of thing. But there's so much around that, right? That I think can on and help drive a big vision that I try to exhibit.
So you have all this energy, you have all this vision. Who do you call on? Who do you bounce ideas off of? Is it Mr. Wynn? Is it other folks that have been in your immediate business past? Is it all the way back to coaches, either in the pros or in college? Who do you and how do you interact with your mentors most frequently, Jeb?
Yeah, so look, I'm always looking for more mentors. Firstly, right? You can find advice from anywhere. That's one of the first things. I'm fortunate to work for a guy. At the end of the day, everybody's got a boss. My boss is Steve Wynn. I'm an I, not the Y, to clarify. I'm fortunate to be able to learn from his experiences. Right, he's had some fantastic successes, and he's a great influence on me. My own dad. Right, I'm able to ask him. I'm fortunate to have that as a resource. But Ryan Neese is a dear friend of mine and partner, and he's a guy I can talk to. Right, we've been on the field together. Right, we can chop it up. He's doing some great things in the venture space right now. Really doing some amazing work there, and getting I can find honest feedback in a guy like that. Right, and then I look internally at our organization. I've been very fortunate to hire people that are that are way more talented than me. And that's that barometer. It's an age-old saying, right? Surround yourself with people you aspire to be like, and they help make you smarter. And if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're probably in the wrong room. Get a better room. So it's really looking internally at that and trying to bring all those sources of feedback together and continue to define the way. But look, Howard, I'm always looking for more mentors, man.
Yeah. So Cher, let me tell you a quick story. I found it wildly entertaining. Jeb Calls, because they're moving and shaking. They're doing all kind of stuff around the United States in different cities, and then have even more of a presence right there in Western Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. He says, "Okay, I'm coming with Steve Wynn. We're going to be here at this time. We're going to leave at this time. Get a tour ready." Okay, our headquarters are meek by design because we're a frugal, young, hungry startup. Jeb texts me, "We've landed." They land at the airstrip. In comes two Lincoln Town cars, and Jeb and Mr. Wynn and Devin and the team come out. And I think that was one of the most efficient 90 minutes where Steve Wynn, who was the billionaire, could sit back and just let his team just kind of soak it all in. Mm-hmm. He wasn't on his phone. He wasn't on his laptop. He was, going into great detail on different levels, vertical questions and horizontal questions about the company, about the business, about the timing, about next year. I found it refreshing that somebody of that net worth, Jeb, had that much attention to the attention of detail that he was given for a small little company like ours in Pittsburgh. Is that just the way he is?
That's the way Steve is. Steve is an engineer by background, and it's amazing kind of the insights and experiences that he's had over the years of multiple companies and most recently some fantastic success with RealPage, the real estate software company out of Dallas. Steve pays attention to the details and he really thinks around the edge cases, right? And he's already the stuff that I've learned in my time working with him has been just fantastic. And then his the think big notion, right? I mean, he thinks big. And when we make investment decisions and we present opportunities, and we present ideas, and we form theses around this, right? It's about thinking big. It's about thinking what's the opportunity? How can this go be a multi-billion-dollar company, right? Every step of the way of everything we look at, and it's been fortunate to be kind of in his work for him, right? And help continue to build on that ambition and couple it with my own.
I love it. And I have a question for you, and I think it's going to benefit a lot of people as far as the opportunity and we're going to bring it back to the immersive media economy and just the opportunity that's within, and who needs to, that you don't see in playing in this economy yet, who needs to get ready for this economy that's here and who's not playing. So what's your advice to those companies, industries, whatnot? I want to know.
Look, the advice is be open-minded, mm-hmm. Start paying attention, and all the stuff that you think sounds crazy is happening.
Right.
All the all the stuff that you saw in Ready Player One and Tron and stuff people been talking about, it is happening, and mm-hmm. you don't see it unless you're in it every day, right?
Right.
I mean, all the parallels, right, around the immersive industry, the experience economy, blockchain technology, mm-hmm. alternative universes, alternative worlds, different ways people react and do and breathe. It is happening around us. Who knows when it's going to manifest and be the day to day, but it is, people spend more time in Roblox than they do in the real world, more time on Fortnite than they do in the real world. Mm-hmm. When you have someone like Disney Plus or Disney, like Bob Chapek talking about the metaverse, right? I mean, these things are happening and they're not just fluff words. And it's, you got to understand that the technology infrastructure has been being built for a long time, and we're starting to see it actually start to peek through in the day to day, right? And then you start thinking about the sports betting and how that's starting to happen and what the implication that has to our businesses. And it's, I can promise you, in 2030, right, what the world's going to look like, I don't even think Howard can even imagine where it's going to go, just because of the mind share now it's taking and the brilliance, right, that's being applied to these spaces, right? Just 3 years ago, I was really deep in the NFT space, right, looking at tokenization of things. That was early, right? 3 years ago was early, right? Now you can't go 30 minutes in our world without hearing about NFTs, right? And someone's got an opinion on it, and it's just that's how the time of adoption has starting to go down. It was 20 years, 15, 10, 3, 0. You know what I mean? And it's moving. Space is just moving underneath us, and you're starting to see it in all walks of life. And I think my advice would be, I'm sure they're paying attention, but what you think sounds crazy and far out is going to be here tomorrow. Who would have ever thought that we were going to be able to do point-to-point, low latency, 8K immersive, right? Like, come on. That's big, cool awesomeness that we're going to be able to do together. And we're going to be talking about 12K, 16K soon enough. It's the world's just moving fast.
Jeb, we'd like to end the session with the same question to our icons. What was the best day of your professional career and why? And what was the worst day of your professional career and why? And what did you learn from those 2 days?
Goodness gracious. Oh, man. Whew. I don't know if this is the right answer. There's no right or wrong answer here, but one of the best and worst days, I think, was the same day. And it was the day I realized I could no longer play football at a high level. I mean, I hope that doesn't sound cliche, but it really is. It was the worst day because the thing I loved, guys, I love playing football, right? It was such a privilege to play it, walking amongst giants, doing that thing. I loved the grind, learn everything about it. It gets taken away from you, right? And that was one of the worst days. At the same time, talk about just having amazing opportunities ahead, right? To deploy the talents that I was blessed with and the drive and determination, but being able to have that clear separation of knowing that I couldn't play anymore at the level I expected and that needed to be at that right thing allowed me to have really a clean break and not spend 3, 4, 5 years chasing it, right? Allow me to say, okay, shit, that sucks, man. God, I love that. That was awesome. But then refocus, re-energize, and go. And look, that's really the most fortunate thing is that I was able to have that clarity of going forward and moving on and finding more ways. Now, the beauty is I was able to take what I love and find other ways to monetize that love, right? Of being an athlete and leverage all that space and the knowledge and know-how. And I really feel like now I have this unique skill set like you, Howard, of having been an athlete, having been an entrepreneur, having been a big company executive, right? And now being an entrepreneur, right? Those things, not a lot of people have that. And so it gives me a unique perspective. But that was really, the things. There are a lot of other really good days in between, some good days and bad days. And sometimes, today can be a great day, but I could get a call at the end of the day, it could turn into a bad day. Just to be honest, but, that's part of the journey, which makes it so fun.
No, as part of this session, I have business associates and friends that I've known for many years. I know that you and I are going to be business partners for many years. I want to thank you not just for the investment in C360. That's significant. I want to also thank you for the diligence and the detail that we had to perform to be the adult company that is worthy of you being the lead investor for and with us. This is all part of the maturation. This is all part of the journey. Next week when I see you, if you're fussing at me about something else, I want this to be memorialized that we appreciate how you had a belief in us, and now you've challenged us to manifest that destiny for and with COSM, and we are all in, Jeb.
Good. I love it. We're all in too, as you can tell. This is not something we take lightly. Not at all. And really believe that we only achieve our vision if we have great partners we can help achieve their vision too. And so we've got a great journey ahead. I'm looking forward to tackling the opportunities with you. No pun intended.
Well, this has been a fantastic episode. We definitely learned a lot from our icon today. So, Jeb, thank you so much for joining us. We are excited to see how C360 and how COSM just grows together into this awesome immersive experience that the world is going to experience over and over again. So thank you for joining us. And for those of you watching, make sure you hit that subscribe button and tune into the next episode.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Loved it.
Thank you.